Hi, everyone. This is Bob Kozma, and today I'm with someone who needs no introduction to the design community, Don Norman. Hi, Don. It's great to be with you, and I'm real excited about discussing our books today. I have your book, which is Design for a Better World: Meaningful, Sustainable, and Humanity-Centered. And then there's my book, which is Make the World a Better Place: Design with Passion, Purpose, and Values.
The two of us really approached it in a very, very similar way. And the books, I feel, they're not redundant, they're complementary, because you covered many more examples than I did. And so I gave a higher order approach and you gave more detail, but the fundamental philosophy that everything is artificial, and maybe we can, that means it was designed, maybe that means design can change it, etc.
Right.
And the focus was on people, human behavior. And those the fact that you and I were together is, there's a big team of people saying the same thing. Wonderful. I haven't found many others. This is still unique, I think. And you know the story, but I'll tell you here for the record here, which is that when you sent me your book, and I actually didn't know you and didn't know, of course, you were writing a book. I'm reading it one night and I turned to my wife and I say, I'm reading my book. Except it was written by somebody else. And
I had a similar experience. So yeah, they're very complimentary and delightful in that way. But
I was worried at first, in fact, that is, we were saying the same thing. And so we'd be competitive. But
yeah,
no,
exactly.
went on, I said, this will be really wonderful to add to my book. And so combining the two books certainly makes my book more powerful. And
likewise,
perhaps, yeah.
I think they're delightfully different too, in important ways, and complement each other and strengthen the whole message that we're both trying to say. I wonder if you could comment on why, in your retirement, you decided to write yet another book. What motivated you?
I've written lots of books about how to make things easier to understand, easier to use, and beautiful. And that's important. But it isn't going to change the world. And I was in the middle of the world changing. The Black Lives Matter movement, and the problem with prejudices against women, against other races, against anybody who was different in any form. That was coming to the core. And there were all sorts of issues, and I wondered what I could do about these. And I talked to a lot of the people in each of these movements, and I sympathized with them, but I didn't see where I had anything new to offer. But anyway, I was reading all sorts of things, and of course, climate change became a major issue, and I was thinking about that, and I started to read economics, and I started to read a lot of different material, so I finally wrote this book, which covered these things, and I called it 4 Maxims to Save the World. And the 4 maxims.
I don't have that book.
Well, because it only exists in a manuscript form.
Okay.
It's not even printed out at this point. It only exists as, Word files on my computer. Here are the 4 maxims. Design maxim 1, measure the things people care about and understand. Quality of life, not economics. Design maxim 2, move from the age of waste to societal resilience and sustainability. Design maxim 3, many things must change, especially the beliefs and behaviors that disrupt societal health and ecological systems. Design maxim 4, changes must be collaborative, designed with and by the communities. MIT Press got that and decided the book, they wanted the book very much, but they said that it had to be changed, and they helped me. We worked on it, and they told me the maxims had to go, and I agreed. I didn't think it was working. And so I restructured it, but you might notice those four maxims exist.
Yeah, that's I did. And actually, the last one that you mentioned is one that is very sympathetic to parts of my book, which is designing with communities
Yes,
rather than
so
for them.
design maxim one is what I then said is meaningful. And design maxim two is sustainability. And design maxim four is the third point, which is humanity-centered design, which I make a big fuss there about collaborative design means actually it's more than collaboration. It means we're an assistant, but the design has to come from the people. And then the design maxim three, many things must change, et cetera, beliefs and behaviors. Well, that is no longer a maxim, but it's a major theme of the book that it's human behavior. That's the cause. So many of the chapters and texts in that original draft are still untouched in the new book.
I too have principles in my book about design. There are 7 of them. And the first one is do no harm. And the second one is address harm when you see it. The other ones are more positive, like build supportive, compassionate relationships and communities, promote equality, advance knowledge and agency, and so on. But the first 2 have to do with harm. So it's kind of been a priority in my own thinking, and especially as everyone seems to be rushing to embed these large language models in their products and services without really properly, from my perspective, vetting them, field testing them before releasing them on society. And there's going to be perhaps, hopefully, a small number of people for whom it could do significant harm. And that's as a design, that should be avoidable and avoided. So it has concerned me in terms of design and the principles in my book. I think we need to wrap up. I'd like to do it in one last question, which is what implications does your book have for design education?
That in the design education, what we now tend to focus on is the craft of design. And what you really want is you have to know something about the history of the world and colonization and how we should treat other cultures. And you have to know about technology. You have to know a lot about the social sciences, because after all, we're designing things for people and society. And so that we need a different kind of education. And what I thought was the way to train designers, but actually personally most people in universities, is not by subjects after subject after subject. It should be problem-based or project-based, either one. But there's a problem we're trying to solve. We put together a project to address it. And this requires people from across the university to work together. And the early students come in and they're junior members of some team, and they begin to see how it works. And as they get more experience, they join maybe the same course, but when the project is further advanced, and now they're leaders, maybe of a small part of the team, and eventually leaders of the entire thing. And so you begin to understand how we collaborate to get things done. And it's not that one field is better than another one, that we must all be equals to put things together. And I would like to see design education change in that way so that we really understand the impact that we could have on the world if we did things taking this wider perspective, which I now call humanity-centered design.
I really like that idea, and it's very sympathetic with Herb Simon's notion that design should be a liberal art, and something that everyone who goes to higher education should study in some way. And from that perspective, design could really be a kind of glue that cuts across these various crafts and pulls them together. So that if everyone, whether they're a teacher, a lawyer, a doctor, an engineer, an architect, has some grounding in design, upon which they then build some specialization in how to teach kids or how to build buildings, design buildings, then they can talk to each other because they're both fundamentally designers and they're thinking in similar ways, bringing different knowledge to bear on a problem, but in an important way, having a teacher talk about the issues with kids and have an architect talk about how the shape of a room affects how people interact with each other. I think design then can bring people like that together and think about the same problem, even though they're coming from different disciplines.
I can't, I'm in complete agreement with everything you said, which is again, how we started this conversation, that we are really, and, but one thing you triggered in my head was, oh, when I started my book, I said everything, almost everything is artificial and almost everything artificial has been designed. And so maybe design can solve this problem. And I didn't say, in fact, I should have said this. In fact, Herb Simon, a Nobel laureate in economics, wrote a very important book called The Sciences of the Artificial. And that's what I'm talking about. And now, why didn't I say that? Because I know Herb. Well, I knew him. He died. He once tried to hire me to come to Carnegie Mellon. And
I studied under him there.
You studied under him.
A sabbatical when I was at Michigan. Yeah.
Okay. So, but I didn't think of putting that in my book for some reason. I did mention him, but I didn't, but I could have put him, it's even possible, given the way my subconscious works without my conscious knowledge of it, that working with Herb, reading his early versions of his book, I like the first edition better than the later editions, and talking to him and going to conferences with him, etc., had a big impact on that particular component of my work.
Yeah. Well, this has been a great conversation, Don. I really appreciate your insight and certainly appreciate you endorsing my book. That was a big honor for me.
But I only endorse your book because I don't endorse anything that I don't believe in. I really liked your book and think it's a
thank you. Thank you very much. And likewise. So I'm really pleased that we've came out with these two books together and that it's been a way that we connected and created a friendship and hopefully future collaborations in one way or another.